In this video, you're going to learn about the biggest mistakes that I see people who are being sued by debt collectors make time and time again. My name is Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the Credit Repair Shop and creator of Summons Master AI, summonsmaster.com. In today's video, I want to talk about the biggest mistakes that people make time and time again when dealing with debt collector lawsuits, because I want to make sure if you are either being sued by a debt collector or you have a debt collector threatening to sue you, that you do not make these mistakes. So let me tell you a quick story. I just got off of a phone call where an individual is being sued by a debt collector and they don't even live in that venue. Now, there's only one other way that you could be sued by a debt collector out of your jurisdiction, and that's if you have a business. If you're being sued as a business and as an individual, that's the only way. They cannot sue you out of your jurisdiction. But I'm seeing this happen over and over again, where the judge is allowing these cases to proceed, and it's based off of individuals not submitting responses appropriately. And when I say submitting responses appropriately, you might be thinking that they're making mistakes on their summons response documents and stuff like that. No, they're submitting documents that the court gives them. The court is giving them documents, and these documents are setting them up for failure. They're setting them up for failure. Now, if you're not going to watch this entire video so you'll know the biggest mistakes that people are making when responding to debt collector lawsuits, let me just tell you this one right here so you can go on and start scrolling or doing whatever you want to do. Is that the number one reason why people lose their cases is because they don't put together the response in a way that the plaintiff attorney can understand it and get their attention and make them back off of you, and the judge to understand it to give you a chance. That's the bottom line. With any conversation, just think about it. With any conversation that you have where you're trying to explain something to someone or you're trying to win them over with an argument, if they don't even understand your argument and you're trying to get so deep into the weeds with all of these laws and rules and all of this other stuff to where they're just like, I don't even understand what your argument is. Forget it. Just, you lose. That's bottom line. What you could do is just make sure that you don't confuse everybody with your response to where it's like, we don't even know what you're trying to do. Judgment for the plaintiff and move on to the next person. If you are being sued by a debt collector and you don't want to try to figure out how to do this stuff, you can go to summonsmaster.com, upload a PDF file of your summons, and it will create a fully formatted summons response to the allegations in your complaint and a defense to help you win your case. All of the summons that Summons Master creates has a human oversight. So you can't mess it up, and Summons Master won't mess it up, but we still have a human oversight to review everything. And if there's anything that we feel that needs to be changed, we'll change it and send it to your email and make sure that you get it. You can't beat that. And then we back it up with aftercare, where we are here by phone, by email, to communicate with you as your case progresses through the court. So regardless, from A to Z, if you end up winning the case, if you end up having to get help to settle the case, whatever it is, we can help you. So now let's jump into these huge mistakes that I see time and time again. The top mistakes that people constantly are emailing and calling me about, where they're like, we screwed up our case, we're gonna lose. And when I dig into it, this is the things that I find. So now, the first one is very simple. It's ignoring the entire case. There are people here on YouTube, on TikTok, that will tell people you don't have to respond. It's a debt collector. You don't have no contract with them, all of this stuff. And we see it every day. People get judgments and then they get garnished, or their bank account gets seized, money, assets, stuff like that. and they followed the advice of someone saying, it's a debt collector, they don't have a contract, they can't do anything to you. But this is being done to people every day. So don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. You have to respond to that court summons, even if you're going to settle, to give yourself leverage. You understand what leverage is? Leverage means if you're trying to go into a negotiation, you got to have something to get their attention. And even if you know you owe the debt, it could be an original creditor. By simply having a response that makes that attorney do their job, will open up the door to be able to get you a settlement that's deeply in your favor. As a matter of fact, I got one right here. I got one right here to prove it to you. We did this. I don't want to reveal this individual's name, but they owed $15,000 plus dollars. I won't mention the exact amount. $15,000 plus dollars. After doing a response to get the leverage for this individual, we were able to settle the case for $5,000, a little bit over $5,000. That's almost $10,000 in savings. But you don't get to that unless you have leverage, because there's no reason. What is the reason for them to go down on an amount that they say you owe if there is no leverage to some sort of leverage on them to prove their case? They have no reason. So regardless if you owe the debt or not, if you have a response submitted the appropriate way, which summons master helps you do that, you could win your case potentially. And that's for original creditors and debt collectors. You slow down the pace of that plaintiff, which gives you breathing room so you can breathe, take a deep breath. And then the next thing is that it can leverage them to where you could end up getting a settlement offer just like this. We had to work for it, but we worked for it by having that response done the right way from the beginning. Okay, and then also for original creditors. And then if you don't want to use summons master, you can get it to us at the credit repair shop. We'll do it for you. Send it back to you with all the instructions on what to do next. Next thing is admitting to the debt in the answer. There is no reason to do that. You're actually building the case for them. When you make your response, you don't want to admit to anything. Why would you want to prove their case? They have to prove the case. On that phone call that I was just talking about earlier, they were sent productions and admissions, and they were like, this is going to build the case for them. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they give you production, admission, and interrogatories, because they want you to build their case for them. This is what they want, to get some answers so they can walk in there and say, hey, you said yes to this, this, and this. You have to know how to answer this stuff, because if you build their case for them, you're making it easy for them. So don't admit to the debt in your answers. There's a specific way for you to not answer that and to put the pressure on them to get the answer for you. They're the one bringing the amount. They're the one saying that you owe, $15,000. How did you get to that $15,000? But you can't just say, how did you get to that $15,000? You have to say it a certain way so the judge understands it and requires them to do it, and that the attorney understands it and they know that they have a duty to do it. The next thing is failing to demand proof. Chain of custody documents. There's a whole bunch of documents when debt collectors buy debt. There's a whole bunch of documents that they have to get authenticated before they can even come after you for that debt. You want to make sure that they get that. There's a whole line of them. In Summons Master, it asks for all of that stuff. But also if it's an original creditor, a lot of people think just because it's an original creditor, there's certain documents they don't have to prove. Yet there's a whole bunch of documents they got to prove if they're the original creditor. So, failing to demand proof with documents. On that phone call, I'm going to keep referring back to that phone call. On that phone call, the individual said that they went to a hearing. They had one of these little side hearings where they sat with the attorney and they actually told the attorney that they don't agree with the amount. And then they said, well, the attorney, when they went to court, guess what? That attorney pretended like that the person never said it. Why are they able to say that? Because nothing's being recorded. There's no response that actually stated that. That's why I said it's important to respond the right way. That attorney went into court and said, I don't remember them saying that they don't agree with the amount that's being claimed. The next thing is not making sure that the debt is not past the legal statute of limitations, because if it's past the legal statute of limitations for them to collect and they did not start the case before the statute of limitations, that is their leeway. If they started it before the statute of limitations date, they can proceed. But if they started it after the statute of limitations date, they cannot sue you. They cannot take you to court. They have no legal remedy to use. With courts, they can say you have a moral obligation. They can try to hound you until you send them a cease and desist letter. But other than that, if it's past the legal statute of limitations, they're not even supposed to have you going to court. You might be saying, well, Steve, who's going to be, what attorney is going to do that? Plenty. Because they don't expect you to know, and then they don't expect you to know how to write that in your summons response. Next thing is lack of standing. It goes back to this call also. This individual stated that they don't live in that jurisdiction, but they put that in there, that setup, what I call the setup response paper that the court gave them, put it in there, and guess what the judge said? I'm going to still allow this to proceed. Imagine that. The wrong venue. The judge knows that they have no jurisdiction over this individual because they don't live in their county, and they still allow the case to continue. Why would something like that happen? Why it happens is because the person did not respond appropriately with that summons. It is important because if you don't respond appropriately with the summons response, everybody's going to disregard you. Everybody. I see it all the time. Next thing is improper service, depending on your state. Some of them say that it has to be in your hand. Some states say you just have to attempt to serve it. Some states say they can leave it at your door. Some states say that they can mail it to you, certified. Find out, because if your state requires that it has to be in your hand, then you were improperly served. And you can get everything thrown out, make them have to start all over again because of that. But you got to respond the right way when you do that. You can't just walk in there and say, I was improperly served. The next thing is using generic internet copied answers. That is not going to work. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's some companies that are out there that are offering these generic deny everything type. That is not going to work. You deny everything and then you walk in that door and they have stuff saying, well, we have your signature here. Or if you deny it, let's not go with the signature. That would be like easy. Let's just deny everything. And then they have your statement. Let's just say they have one statement and they say, well, Mr. So-and-so, we have this one statement and you're denying this entire case. And we have this statement that was mailed to your address. What do you have to say about that? Where does that leave you if you just denied everything? I saw a response that we had to clean up and get an amended response from this company that's online, that has no phone support, that has no proof that they've actually helped people with the cases like we do. We have proof that we help people get cases dismissed all the way up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I know how you feel because I was once sued for an account that I had when I was in the United States Army. See my picture right there. Not United States Army at the age of 18. Credit card, probably $150 was the most that they gave me on that credit card. And a debt collector bought that debt and tried to sue me for $4,500. So I know how it feels to be sued. I know how it feels to be sitting there and you don't know what to do, what to say. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I started the credit repair shop. And then when we started helping people with summons responses, that was the biggest reason why I put the investment in to create Summons Master, because I was like, if people just had something that could speak for them, which is what Summons Master does for you, is having that response. Or if we create it for you, having a response, either which way, credit repair shop does it for you or you do it with Summons Master. Here's the big deal with this whole thing is that It does the talking for you. The judge could actually look at it and say, okay, plaintiff attorney, what about this? Plaintiff attorney, what about that? Plaintiff attorney, because it's structured and it's stated to them in a way that gets the judge to just read it. Judge is trying to hurry up with court. They're trying to get to lunch. They're trying to get out of there early. And if you have everything structured, guess what they're going to do? They're going to read it and say, what, plaintiff attorney, what about this, 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 and this? And then the plaintiff attorney, they see what you're doing and they might say, we don't want to proceed with this even before court. We want to back out this before court. We've had that happen for clients where they bagged out. They were like dismissed before the hearing or during the hearing, dismissed. They just want to see if the person was going to show up. Don't use the generic stuff. I'm just going to say it, get with us because we had the experience. Get with us because we had the experience. If you want to get this stuff, like the straight line where you don't have to sit there, you're trying to guess and do all that. I know we live in this do-it-yourself world. I know we do. I'm like you. But some of the times we got to just get it done right so we can get to where we want to be so we can get back to doing the stuff that we love. Next thing is talking with a debt collector without a legal strategy. Now, you don't have to have an attorney. You don't have to do all of this stuff that you think you might have to do. What it is that, and this goes back to what I just said with Summons Master, if you have the argument back to them, the response, the argument back to them, you leverage yourself so they don't ask you questions. Or if they do ask you questions, you say, "This, look at my response. Did you see my response? Attorney, did you see my response?" Because that right there is what I'm asking you. I responded to you, so now it's your turn to respond to me. That's leverage, my friend. That's leverage. Next mistake is people just don't show up. Even if you get your summons response created through Summons Master or through us at the credit repair shop, you still need to show up to court unless they give you a document that states that they've dismissed the case or that they've moved the case. The reason, so you might be saying, well, Steve, why, if I got this summons response, this all powerful summons response that's going to fight for me, why would they make me have to show up to court? Reason why is because, remember, this is not between just you and them anymore. It's between you, them, and the court. Once they do that, they set aside time for the court. If they have that, if it's not canceled and they want you to show up there, the court requires you to be there. And what these debt collectors try to do is, or attorneys for even the original creditors, when they're going to dismiss a case, they'll still want to see if you're going to be there. Because if you're there, and we've had this happen for numerous clients, they went to the hearing as soon as they called her name, dismissed. They didn't even get to say nothing, didn't have to do nothing, didn't even have to walk up there. They just looked up, oh, they're here, dismissed. And then they moved on to the next person. They do that because they can get a default judgment. It's easy default judgment if you don't show up. Even if you have a response and you don't show up, you're going to get a default judgment because it's between you, them, and the court. Now, the next one is failing to dispute the amount owed. This really comes in handy when it comes to dealing with original creditors. Original creditors are very good at tacking on fees, doing all types of stuff to blow up the debt. Remember, it's going to sit there. If it's a credit card, it's going to sit there for 6 months. You don't know how, the amount that they're coming at you at, if it's true or not. All they're doing is they're going to send you a last statement. When they sue you, they're going to have a last statement, and you're not even going to know how that all came up. So you have a right to dispute how they came up with that claimed amount. But you got to do it in a way that makes the court require them to do it, and it makes that debt collection attorney who is working for the original creditor or debt collection company to leverage them to make them have to do it. If you don't say it the right way, they're going to just disregard it. If you don't say it the right way, they're going to just disregard it. You can actually be trapping yourself. Another thing is not making them get the documentation that is required. Even if it's the original creditor, there are documents that they got to get, and if they don't get them, if you request it, remember, in your response, that's where all of this stuff is going to start. When you put it in your response and you request it, they have to respond to it. It does not matter what they claim. It's what they have. It's what they have to prove, but they only have to prove if you respond. The next thing is people, and we live in this do-it-yourself world, this do-it-yourself society. I'm all for that. I try to do a lot of things myself. But if you don't understand what to do, how to say it, what to say, all of that stuff, the best thing to do is to get it done for you, because that's going to allow you to have that leverage. If you have that leverage, you're going to be able to move forward a lot faster. Just think about it this way. When we're comfortable with something that we know and fully understand, we move forward with a lot of confidence. But also there is another way that people move forward with confidence. Let me give you an example. This my younger sister used to do this to me all the time. My younger sister used to start fights, and she was all scared. And guess what she would say? I'm going to go get my brother. And guess what? When she went and got her brother, all of a sudden she had this confidence. She was big, bad, because she had backup. When you need to get something done that you don't know how to do and you're under a lot of stress, you need to get this done in a timely manner, it might be the best bet is to get backup. And that's what we're here for. So if you are being sued by a debt collector, what I want you to do is you can either go to summonsmaster.com, link is below this video. You can upload a PDF file of your summons. It will create a fully formatted summons response to every allegation in your summons and a defense to help you win your case, to potentially win your case. Backed up by human oversight, so no matter what, someone is going to review your response and the summons response that Summons Master AI creates for you. This is not a generic ChatGPT type deal. This is built off of how we help people, real people. You can see the testimonials on the website, get their cases dismissed. That's a big deal. Or you can just go to thecreditrepairshop.com. There's a link on there. You can pay, send the summons to us, and we'll get it created for you with the response. Either which way you go, you're going to have human aftercare support. Human aftercare support. What does that mean? That means that you'll be able to speak to someone as your hearing date gets closer, or if something comes up and you have a question, we're here for you. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters, statute of limitations, debt validation, cease and desist collection activities letter. I do ask for a donation on those. Or you can go to summonsmaster.com, upload your debt collection letter to create what I call an exclusive certified debt validation letter to stop debt collectors from coming after you. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to the channel. Post your questions and comments, and make me a promise that no matter what, you're not going to sit there paralyzed and frozen and not do something about your debt and not do something about your credit. You want to do something about it as quickly as possible. Thank you for your time.